Hey guys, Mike with Long Range with the Lilies, here to talk to you about kind of the top 10 reasons why I prefer NRL Hunter over PRS. By no means am I saying that I don't like the PRS. I love the PRS. I'm going to continue to shoot and compete in PRS. It's just given the choice, if I had two matches on the same day, an NRL Hunter and a PRS match, I would choose the NRL match, and here's kind of why. So the way I view the differences between the NRL Hunter and the PRS. The PRS, in my mind, and again, these are just my opinions, nobody else's, is the absolute pinnacle of shooting. It's like the Formula One of shooting. It's the most advanced technology. It's the most challenging if we're talking about just the pure act of putting a bullet on a small target a long ways away. The PRS is the most competitive, and it is the pinnacle of that sport. The NRL Hunter is a different animal entirely, and in my mind, it's much more akin to, if I'm using a racing reference, like rally racing. It's much more about the individual shooter and their skill sets, as opposed to having like the latest and greatest rifle, bullet combination, everything else. In fact, a good example of this is Rusty Ulmer has been just crushing people in the NRL Hunter using factory rifles that you could go buy at your local big box store. In fact, we just ran an NRL Hunter match out in Rock Lake, Washington, and he won that with a Tikka. So there's something to be said about that. It's, in my mind, which brings me to my first reason, I get to use what I would call a more practical rifle. The PRS rifles that Keely and I run are purpose-built, very specific for PRS. They're super heavy. They're not something I would take to the field to either go hunting or any sort of other application. They are built for PRS. That is the only thing it's good for. Whereas with the NRL Hunter, I feel like I could take my NRL Hunter rifle and do anything with it. I could shoot a PRS match with it. It's not going to be as good as my PRS purpose-built rifle, but it's definitely more than competitive. I would still place decent with it. I can take it hunting. It's relatively lightweight. For those of you that don't know, there's two weight divisions. There's under 16 pounds for total rifle weight and under 12 pounds for total rifle weight. And another interesting thing we're finding is from guys that shoot it a lot, that are top level shooters, the difference between 16 pounds and 12 pounds is not a lot. It's fairly negligible. There is a small difference in recoil, but if you're driving the gun right, if your fundamentals are good, it's not a vast difference in competitiveness between a 16 pound and a 12 pound. In fact, Open Light, which is the 12 pound division, wins a lot of the overall matches. So there's that. The second thing I want to talk about, that why I like the NRL Hunter better, is the stages go way faster. The match goes way faster. I'm done shooting an NRL Hunter match like the first day, typically at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then the next day we're definitely usually done by like 12 or 1. And what this does is it gives me more time to socialize, to hang out, to have fun, to kind of decompress. Whereas it seems like lately, especially with bigger PRS matches, you're done at like 5 or 6. You're everything you can do to rush back, get a bite to eat, reset your gear, and go to bed. There's not a lot of hanging out at the PRS 2-day national matches because they take so long to get through when you're dealing with shooters. And I'm comparing the same size matches. For example, my match had about 150 shooters in it, and I'm comparing that to a very comparable sized PRS match. And there's a number of reasons for this. I think the biggest reason is just that it's blind stages. So when your time starts, even though it's 4 minutes, you're running up, you're finding, ranging, engaging. It's very minimal talking from the RO. There's not a big stage brief where everybody gets together and you got to round up all the guys in your squad. And then the RO gives a stage brief, and then there's a bunch of questions, and then there's the group think of 10 people or so standing around discussing the best way to tackle a stage. All of that adds time, and it takes away from match flow, and I think that's why the NRL Hunter stages seem to flow so much better. I think the next thing I want to talk about why I prefer the NRL Hunter is you use a broader range of skill sets. So with PRS, it's all about building a stable position, executing your fundamentals of marksmanship, reading wind, and breaking a clean shot. There's not a lot to it, and the more and more I do it, I've been doing it for like 5 or 6 years now, I feel like a lot of the PRS stages start to feel the same, and you know what you're getting into. The NRL Hunter stages, one, they're blind, so you don't know what you're getting into until you run up there. And then you're finding, using your binoculars, ranging, either with a rangefinder or with your binoculars if they have an integrated rangefinder, and then engaging, building a position, and all the other PRS type skills, plus the find, range, engage, and problem solve on the clock as opposed to having a game plan before you get up there. It makes a big difference in the kind of stress and how your mind is engaged. And for me, it just seems more fun to me. And the fact that you're on your own only makes it like that much better. You're not, discussing win calls and how to do the stage or anything with anybody else. You're truly on your own as an individual sport, which is the next reason why I like the NRL Hunter better. In the PRS, there's a lot. The squad that you're in really matters. How much that squad is sharing information matters, and it really contributes to your success in the PRS if you've got a good squad, everybody's on the same page, sharing information, spotting for you, that kind of thing. Whereas with the NRL Hunter, you are 100% on your own. It's truly an individual sport, and there's no help, there's no talking about the stages, there's no, designing the best way to tackle the stage. You run up, you do what you do, you move on to the next stage, and then you can talk about it with your buddies afterwards. So I truly enjoy that it is a truly individual sport. I think that another thing that I really like about it is it's as close as you can get to big game Western style spot and stalk type hunting. Is it that? No, it's not. It's still a shooting competition, and there's still rules and still things that you have to follow. But I think it's designed to replicate that experience, and it does a really good job of replicating what you need to do to be successful to execute those. Obviously, finding animals and where they live is a totally different, separate thing that you can't really replicate. But spotting, ranging, and engaging the target set in the NRL Hunter, I think, is a super fantastic concept that really translates well to the hunting. And if you can develop these skill sets in these competitions, you're going to be more successful in the field. Which leads me to my next point, which is it's a really great shakedown of the gear you're going to take to the field and hunting. You get a chance to test your binos, your rifle system, your dope, all your pack, everything you would take to the field in a more controlled environment. For example, at my match, it was a downpour on day one. So guys had all their hunting gear out there, their Gore-Tex and everything else. And some guys were saying that they were glad that they got to check out their gear because it completely failed on them and they need to buy something else. Another guy was talking to me about his binos. The binos he was using had a kind of a bluish green tint to the lenses in order to facilitate something with the laser rangefinder built into his binos, and he was really, really struggling finding targets because of the light combination of overcast skies and the way the fields, the color of the vegetation and everything, it was kind of washing out in his binos, and he was having a really hard time at picking out targets. And then so after the match was over, he was borrowing guys different sets of binos and checking them out, and he had already committed to buying a new set of binos. And it's far better to find that out in a match where you spent a couple $100 versus a once-in-a-lifetime hunt where you're on that once-in-a-lifetime elk draw or whatever you're hunting, and then you find out your gear fails you. So it's an incredible shakedown of that gear that you're going to test in realistic environments out in the elements that you just don't get a chance to test elsewhere. The next two things I want to talk about are sort of related, and there are two different divisions within the NRL Hunter. The first one I want to talk about is the skills division. I really don't think we do a good enough job of advertising the skills division. For those of you that don't know, the skills division is a concept where you pay a reduced price to come compete. You can shoot everything. There's no difference between you and any other competitor other than You get to be coached on the clock from the RO. They can, direct you to targets. They can help spot your misses. They can really talk to you. So you're basically getting a free lesson at every stage you shoot. It's, again, a reduced cost. The only thing that comes with the reduced cost is you don't get to walk the prize table with the other competitors. It would be unfair because you're receiving coaching and everything else. If you want to walk the prize table and compete, then obviously there's the full price registration for that. But it's a super great way to come out, experience it with no pressure. If you want, you can tell a match director, hey, I don't want my scores posted. If you're worried about that, and you can just come out, run what you brung. If you've got an old BDL top feeder rifle that you want to come out and see what you're capable of, that is the venue for you to do it. You don't have to jump in off the deep end and spend several $1,000s to come build a match rig. And you can come in and just have fun and have a good time and shake out your gear and test yourself. Now, I will say, if you want to compete at the highest levels, and I see this a lot, you guys talk about this, run what you brung, but then everybody's running like competitive match rigs. Well, it still is a competition. You can absolutely come out, have a good time, shoot well, shake out your gear, experience everything that the NRL Hunter has to offer with whatever you have. But if you want to compete with the John Pinches, Matt Alwines, Morgan Kings of the world, then yeah, you do need to build kind of a rifle for this. The good news is, if you build a rifle for this, you're going to build yourself a badass hunting rig as well. So there's kind of a give and take there. The next division I want to talk about, which is new this year, was the team division. Truth be told, when the team division was voted on, I wasn't necessarily a big fan. I felt like, the NRL Hunter was taking off as being a success as an individual sport. And then when they brought in teams, I was initially a little reluctant. But I do see the appeal of it now, and now I'm starting to see the application of it. So for those of you that aren't tracking the team division, it's you and a partner, and you get 6 minutes to do all those things that you do on a normal NRL individual basis, except, you get a partner to assist you in finding targets, spotting your misses, helping you with your dope and equipment and everything else, just like it was the two of you out hunting. The reason I really like the team division, not just because it's fun and everybody that competes in a team division has nothing but positive things to say about it, I really think that there is some incredible training value for military and law enforcement snipers, especially to operate as a team with you and your spotter to build that communication, which is the most important factor in the team competitions. What we're finding is two great individual shooters do not necessarily make a great team that's going to win an event. A lot of it comes down to how you interact with each other and how you communicate. And if you're doing this professionally with people's lives on the lines, the communication that you can develop in this format is incredible. Finding targets, ranging them, giving a target talk on to your teammate and getting them on target, as well as spotting and communicating win calls to your teammate. The training value there is just fantastic. And so I highly encourage my military law enforcement brethren out there to get out, try one of these team matches, give it a go, and then go from there. And I think what you'll find is it's an incredible training opportunity that is relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things. The last thing I want to talk about is it appeals to a broader audience. And I realize that was an awkward transition, and I apologize for that. I'm just formulating my thoughts. The NRL Hunter appeals to anybody who is going out to be a hunter. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have as much training value for the guy who sits in a tree stand with a shotgun shooting slugs at like 75 yards. But if you are hunting, this will make you a better hunter. I think that the PRS is such a competitive thing, and it's that Formula One pinnacle of technology. It appeals to the competitors with that drive to win and become better marksmen. Will shooting the PRS make you a better shot? Absolutely. I am not taking away from the PRS at all. What I'm saying is, I think the NRL Hunter series appeals to a broader range of people that maybe are intimidated by the PRS game. They see the rigs that those guys are running, and they know that they can't show up and shoot, or actually that's not true. They think that they can't show up and shoot a PRS match with what they have at home. I disagree. I think you can. I do think, though, that the skills division in the NRL Hunter gives you a better avenue to do that. That is why I feel like the NRL Hunter appeals to a broader audience. I don't know if I'm articulating that well, but you know, it is what it is. These are my thoughts. I'm happy to chat about it with anybody else. So I want to tie all that up. If you're with me this far, thanks for sticking around. I do truly enjoy the NRL Hunter concept. I think that it's going to be a fantastic concept that's just going to continue to grow. It was new last year. This year, we're already seeing attendance at matches, you know, skyrocket. I think most of them have sold out. I think there's only one I can think of that hasn't sold out so far. And I think that, you know, if you guys get out there, give it a go, give it a try, I think you're going to have a blast. So hopefully we'll see you guys out there. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please feel free to like and subscribe and share with your friends, and we'll continue to put out information out there. As always, we're happy to discuss it. Hit us up in the comments or through our social media if you want to talk about it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you out there.